You're listening to the Doctor Is In podcast, brought to you by MartinClinic.com. During the episode, the doctors share a lot of information. As awesome as the info may be, it is not intended to diagnose, cure, treat, or prevent any disease. It's strictly for informational purposes.
Well, good morning, everyone. Hope you're doing well. Today is Blow Your Socks Off Day. Remember? If you were on with us yesterday. Okay, again, I'm going to blow you away. Guys, listen. This is incredible. Okay, now, here's how I'm going to do it, okay? I'm going to read to you a quote from a Dr. David Haslam, okay? Dr. David Haslam. Listen to his quote, okay? Now, this has to do with COVID-19, but this is far more important than that, okay? Let me just tell you what the headline is. Here's what he said, okay? Chairman of the National Obesity Focus, okay? Forum. David Haslam, chairman of the National Obesity Forum in the United Kingdom. Here's what he said, and I'm quoting him. When this is over, COVID, we need a public health drive to make people aware that obesity is very dangerous. Now, I'm taking this quote out of an article in the United Kingdom after a study was done in the United Kingdom, okay? Now, I want to tell you what the study found. It's incredible. It's incredible. Now, follow me, and I'm gonna go through this with you. The study found in 2018 that if you were obese, now you're not going to believe this statistic, but in Britain, they characterized 2 out of 3 people in Britain are obese. Here's what they found. When they took, in 2018, if you were obese, the flu shot, okay, the flu vaccine, it doesn't work on you. That's what they found. Guys, you know why? Because, and I'm going to show you, I'm going to sort of go through the steps of what happens. But let me just say this again. If you are obese, your immune system doesn't work properly. We never knew that, or we never knew why to the extent. And what they're saying is they only found this out after giving the flu vaccine. And people that were obese weren't producing antibodies for that, for the flu. Now, why is that significant? This is what David Haslam is saying. Why is that significant? Because he's saying, well, even if they come up with, like some people with the COVID are saying, well, we're waiting for the vaccine. California is sort of saying, we're waiting for the vaccine. We don't want to open up. It'll never go back to normal, the new normal, until we get a vaccine. The problem is, if you are obese, the vaccine isn't going to work. It doesn't work in the flu. Because, and I'm going to teach you why you don't produce antibodies. Can I be honest with you? I never knew that. I learned something. Okay. Let's go through this, okay? Just so you guys understand this, just so you understand what I'm saying here. The significance of this is incredible. Now, we already knew, right? Okay, you got a roll. That's obese, by the way. That's obesity. You see a kid with a sugar belly. I call them sugar bellies because they're not drinking beer. It's not a beer belly. And guys, I fight this all the time. When I put weight on, it's right around my belly. What you don't see is this inside your body, around your organs, especially the liver. Why is that significant? Is an organ unto itself. Your body sees it as an organ. It does things inside your body, okay? It's not pretty, but it's what it does inside your body. Okay, so let me explain that. One, when you have this in your body, it produces cytokines. Okay, big word, doc. What's that mean? Cytokines is an inflammatory response. If you have this, you have inflammation. It elevates your cytokines. Okay? What's that do? Well, if I punch you in the arm or you punch me in the arm and you punch me here, so I rub and that produces cytokines. The ambulance comes to the area. More blood, more enzymes, more natural killer cells and whatever. They're there because they're healing. So it's a good thing. The only problem is if it doesn't go away, the ambulance that comes here, it's got to go back. It's got to get away. It's got to stop. Otherwise it damages, because you and I have talked about this. We even talked about it yesterday in heart disease. We knew this about heart disease. If you have inflammation, inflammation's not Houdini. It doesn't come from, it doesn't just suddenly appear. Inflammation comes from this. That comes from, well, how do you get this? Guys, you know the answer. Insulin. So it's food. But let me continue on, okay? So we know this produces cytokines. And what cytokines do, okay? What cytokines do is they bring extra blood, heat, blah, blah, blah to the area, okay? The problem is, when it goes on for a period of time, that one, it now damages blood vessels. So we've talked about that. Remember what I've said? Capillaries, especially the eyes. Like that's why diabetics, they're so susceptible to damage to their eyes and blood vessels. If you're a diabetic or even a pre-diabetic, you're 50% or more susceptible to having a heart attack or a stroke. So we know that it affects your blood vessels, damaging cytokines. And we talked about it yesterday. It affects your endothelial level in the blood vessels. One thing I didn't mention yesterday is what it does to nitric oxide. It lowers your nitric oxide, which opens your blood vessels, okay? I'm a senior, I forgot. 1, cytokines, okay? And 2, now we know you're not producing antibodies. That's what you know what herd immunity is? If you got COVID, you now have antibodies. You're not going to get it again, okay? They're not 100% sure about that, but they're pretty sure. You've developed your immunity to it. That's what antibodies are. Antibodies are like if they see a virus coming, they go, you know what? I'm going to match up and I'm going to hook that. And antibodies say, no, you can't. You're not going to produce infection in the body anymore. I got you. Antibodies. Okay. So this not only produces cytokines, inflammation that damages blood vessels. Now we know if you got this, if we have this, you're not producing antibodies to viruses properly and bacteria. This is so astounding, guys, because what they found out is when they even gave them the flu shot, you take a vaccine to produce antibodies. They give you a little bit of the bug so that you produce antibodies to stop the bug. I mean, whether you believe in vaccines or not, that's what vaccines are supposed to do. Really. They give you antibodies. You get that. You understand that. They give you the bug in a small dosage so that your body produces antibodies. The problem is, if you have obesity, if that's wrapped around your organs or it's on your belly, you're not producing antibodies. And this is why David Haslam, quoting him, when this is over, we need a public health drive to make people aware that obesity is very dangerous. Hello? Remember what I said? The elephant in the room. Nobody's talking about it. Here we are, spending trillions of dollars, trillions. Not, I'm talking about the United States, but Canada, comparatively, We're spending more than the United States. In terms of population, we're 10 times smaller than the USA. Guys, it's all right to get a check. I get it. You know, people are in rough shape. But guys, they're not even looking at the most important thing. All they can think of, the pharmaceutical companies are going 100 miles an hour to try and find a vaccine for the coronavirus. And I get it. They're pharmaceutical companies, of course. That's what they do. The problem is they're looking for love in all the wrong places because people that are metabolically, guys, if you have this, you're metabolically out of whack. I don't know how to say it any clearer than that. Your insulin is elevated. Elevated insulin is what causes obesity. It causes fat. You guys know that. It's not fat in your diet. It's sugar. And I've said this before, sugar stops your white blood cell, but now we know even more. You're not even producing antibodies. You're not even going to produce antibodies. What should the message be? Guys, I think I got to even bring this a little bit further. Okay, I got to bring it a little bit further. I want to talk about cancer for a minute. Okay? What do you need to fight cancer? Well, we talked about sugar. Yes, for sure. And if you don't believe sugar has some effect on cancer, I don't know what to tell you. Somebody was arguing with me yesterday about that. What's sugar got to do with cancer? It's genetics or whatever they were thinking. I said, well, it's got a lot to do with, and then I used the example of the PET scan. Okay? If you bring your animal to the veterinarian, and they put you in a machine, that's not a PET scan. Okay? The PET scan is a cancer detector. Okay? It's made for cancer. And we have one here in Sudbury. It took us years to get it. They're very expensive. And the government didn't want to help. So they raised money here in Sudbury to have a PET scan, and they hardly use it. Well, they're not using it enough because it's so expensive. Anyway, to use even. But you know how it works? They give you a cup of sugar, radioactive. They put you in the machine, and if you have cancer, you light up like a Christmas tree. That's how it works, guys. Oh, but sugar doesn't. No sugar. What sugar? What are you talking about, Dr. Martin? You're always talking about sugar. I know. It's the new smoking. It's worse than smoking. Okay, but in this whole discussion of cancer, you rarely hear about food. Unfortunately, dietitians, if you do get to see one after cancer, they don't think that's important, but food, they'll tell you to have a balanced diet. Don't do that. A balanced diet is not what's going to help your cancer. It's going to make your cancer worse. You don't need a balanced diet. You need a very unbalanced diet. That is, no sugar. And you know what I tell people with cancer? No sugar, no carbs, and don't negotiate with me. I don't negotiate with cancer. That's what I tell them. Why are you negotiating? You're asking for my opinion? I won't negotiate with you. Here's what I tell you to do. No, zero, nada carbs. None. Because we know what sugar does. And carbs are going to be sugar in 5 seconds. Oh, Dr. Martin, it's like yesterday. How many people? Dr. Martin, it's oatmeal. I don't care. It's got 40 grams of carbs in a bowl. That's in about 5 seconds, 8 teaspoons of sugar that your insulin has to deal with. So you know what I'm saying? But I want to go a little deeper in cancer. I just want to go a little deeper, okay, with cancer. Because sugar, yes, your immune system gets affected. We now know what happens. You don't produce antibodies for viruses, bacteria. But here's another thing. Why obesity or even 5 pounds of this fat is so bad for cancer? Because what happens with this organ? It's like an organ. It produces cytokines. What does that do? Cytokines elevates your T cells and your NK cells. Okay, just think of 2 cells. T cells come out of your lymphatic system. They are cancer fighters. They're your Navy SEALs. NK, natural killer cells, look for bacteria, viruses, and even cancer cells. Okay, so that makes them produce. The problem is, once they're out there and now they don't work anymore if they've been used for a long period of time. So this is always in your body. It's producing cytokines, which is making inflammation. And the problem is when it goes past, after a while, your NK cells and your T cell, they don't work properly. They don't even fight cancer. That's just why when you've got obesity, it's not just for viruses. We talked about that. But now your immune system won't work properly even for cancer. You want cancer cells to fight, you want your killer cells and your T cells to fight cancer. But when you have inflammation over a period of time due to obesity, fat, it doesn't work properly anymore. That's the problem when inflammation becomes chronic. And that's why diabetics are much more susceptible, one, to heart disease and stroke, but two, to cancer, guys. And do I have to tell you what this does to your brain? Inflammation in the brain destroys your brain cells, your memory center for Alzheimer's and dementia. Remember, these things are all connected, guys. They're all connected. And I find it astounding. Yesterday, I don't know if you knew this or not, but Dr. Fauci, do you know that name? He is the head of, the task force in the United States for COVID. He's the boss, okay? And they got other doctors, but he's the boss. And he's 79 years old and become the most popular guy in the United States of America. He's on every talk show, whatever. And yesterday they had hearings, Senate hearings, okay, on COVID. Not once was it meant, all they talked about is this virus and close everything down and keep it closed. Apparently in California, for the next 3 months, they're not really opening anything. They're waiting. I don't know. What are you waiting for? The vaccine? But he didn't mention it once. He didn't look at this study that is available. I mean, there's more than one, but this is the most incredible one. You're not even going to produce antibodies if you are overweight. And what is it in the United States and similar to Canada? Guys, I already mentioned it to you. Why did the African American population, when they got COVID, it was much worse for them? Why? It wasn't their dark skin. It wasn't. What was it? Obesity. 70 or 80% of African American women are obese. Now we know what happens. It affects their immune system. Never mind their blood vessels. It's incredible, guys. It's astounding. And I'm not saying nobody's talking about it, but very few. And this is where you get a storm, you see, because you get a cytokine. So what happens, I'm just going to tell you what they know about COVID, okay? You have inflammation due to the fat, okay? Your immune system isn't working properly, but now the virus comes in. You don't have the antibodies to defend yourself. And now your body goes into a cytokine storm. That's what they're saying. They got to make up for what you're not making. You're not making antibodies. So your body is unbelievable, guys. It's so fearfully and wonderfully made. It will do everything it can to keep you alive. So what does it do? It creates even more inflammation. You go into a cytokine storm. And if that gets in your lungs, you're done like dinner. That's where pneumonia comes in. And that's why they were talking about ventilators. We need millions, not millions, but hundreds of thousands of ventilators. But nobody said why. They said, oh yeah, but that's what the virus does. If it gets bad, it'll attack your lungs. Okay, we get that. Why does it attack your lungs? If you're healthy, it doesn't attack your lungs. Not one. Listen to me. As you get older, your immune system's going down. It's part of life. That's why I always talk to you guys about take care of yourself, guys. Do this yourself. And I know you're doing it. I know I'm preaching to the choir this morning. But it's why young people generally have not been affected by this virus. Even though they're metabolically not necessarily much better, but they're young. It'll catch up to them. I don't know if there's anything that I could talk to you about health-wise that's more important today. Guys, you know me yesterday. I had to hold back not to talk to you about it yesterday. But it comes back to what you put in that mouth every day. It comes back to that. It's what you can control. You can't control everything, you know? My cortisol was up yesterday. You know why? Because every once in a while I think about, you know what? I feel sorry for people that have a business, a small business or whatever. And the government, they're scared skinny. Now, whether you think that's right or whether you think it's wrong, okay? That's up to you. I can't dictate what you think. But everybody's worried about the virus. The virus may come back if we open up too fast and we wanted to flatten the curve. Well, the curve was a pancake in Sudbury. We never had it. We got 2 cases right now. And the whole city's still closed down pretty well. And that gets my cortisol up a little bit, okay? I know when my cortisol is up, by the way. I do. I get this sort of like a little, it's called like a butterfly thing in me a little bit. And I got to talk to myself. Tony, bring it down. Calm down. But guys, seriously, did I blow your socks off this morning? You guys know, I scoured yesterday. I scoured every major news network, headlines, looking for this story. I didn't find anywhere in North America. Maybe in Britain they did, but nowhere in North America, United States or Canada, that was even mentioned this important finding. The flu shot doesn't work if you have this. It don't even work if you have obese. If you have 5 pounds of fat, not working. It's incredible. That's one of the most incredible findings. Every once in a while, I come across something and I go, thank you, Jesus, for opening my eyes to see. I was reading in the Bible this morning. Got to just tell you what I was reading, okay? I'll take it out of context a little bit, but I just want to tell you what it says. Men love darkness more than they love light. That's found in John's Gospel, chapter 3. Men love darkness more than they love light. We see it. I don't know what it is. I don't know how I could go shake Dr. Fauci. I know he's an infectious disease guy, but he's looking for love in all the wrong places. They're looking for a vaccine, and they're going to rely on the pharmaceutical companies to do a vaccine. And I understand it. I get it. I do get it. That's what they do, guys. And I don't even question their motives. I'm not questioning their motives. They do what they do. But if 88% of the population, this is not Dr. Martin's statistic, this is the CDC, have said, and I've said this to you hundreds of times, that 88% of the population are metabolically unwell. You know what that means? 88% of the population have this inside of them, including kids. Kids get away with it a little bit as far as a virus goes, because their immune system's better than ours. Guys, it's astounding. Only 12% of the population, according to the Center for Disease Control, and they might even be off because it may be higher than that. Not the good part, the bad part. 88% might be 95%, the way people eat today. Guys, this blew me away. It blew me away. And I don't get blown away easy, but this blew me away. Dr. David Haslam quoting says, when this is over, we need to do a huge education of the population of Britain, the United Kingdom. Dr. Haslam, come to North America. You're not going to hear it. There's no money. Well, as a matter of fact, the money is in the opposite end. There's no money in food. Well, there's money in food industry, but the food industry, folks, isn't your friend. They hired people like the tobacco industry did to hook you. My name is Tony, and I'm a carboholic. And 88% of the population or more can put their hand up and say, my name is Joe, and I'm a carboholic. And the food industry is not your friend. The cereal companies are not your friend. The middle aisles of your grocery store that is owned by Coca-Cola, Pepsi-Cola, and General Foods, and Danone. They make yogurt, by the way. They're not your friends. They got people who are experts in addiction. They do. They pay them. Taste and crunch. And ladies, you like your potato chips? Do you? I love ladies because they tell me all the time, Doc, if I can just have my potato chips and a glass of wine, I can live on that. No, but seriously, guys, they're not your friends, okay? Just don't, look, they put a lot of people to work and all this and that. I get it, okay? I get it. But they're not your friends, okay? They're in for this. And they're liars, pants on fires, just like the tobacco industry did. Tobacco industry got caught. They doubled up the nicotine so they would hook you. And they lied about it. The food industry, they made high fructose corn syrup knowing full well that it was very addictive and you can't get enough of it. And the pharmaceutical industry, God love them. Guys, I'm not saying you're not your friend. I don't want to go there in that sense. Because they made antibiotics and wonderful medication that can save your life. I get it. But guys, when they make this vaccine, if they can find it, they're rushing to find it. They're not going to tell you not to take it. If you're obese, you better change your diet before trying to find that vaccine. It's not going to work. But they won't tell you that. And the CDC and the Health Canada and whatever, they're not going to tell us that. They're just not. So it's up to you as an individual. This is why, guys, I do what I do. I have a sphere of influence. And I'm gonna preach it, guys. I'm gonna preach it. You know me. I'm gonna preach it. And I'm very simple. I'm a simple-minded person. I'm not a complicated person. I'm very simple. You know what I say? Change your diet. As one of our followers said, save your pancreas, save your life. That's in my new book, by the way. Save your pancreas, save your life. Because if you save your pancreas and you stop secreting all the insulin, you're going to lower your inflammation. And if you lower your inflammation, every disease you can think of will get better. It helps everything, including your immune system. Guys, that's the teaching for today. Thanks for paying attention. I mean it. Okay? So tomorrow, another live, 8:30. Thanks for coming on, guys. Now, if you get a chance, would you share this with your friends and family, your sphere of influence? And you know what, guys? You can bring a horse to water, but you can't make them drink it. Don't feel bad if people don't, you can only give them information. You can't make them do it. You can't make them do it, but you find that out even in your own family or whatever. You can't make people do it, especially men. We're so stinking stubborn, aren't we? Okay, but you can try. You can try. Okay. Hey, love you guys. Talk to you tomorrow.
You've reached the end of another Doctor is In podcast with your hosts, Dr. Martin Jr. and Sr. Be sure to catch our next episode, and thanks for listening.